How's it going, everybody? You know who it is. My name is Sunwoo, and in today's video I'm going to tell you 10 features that I think could or should be implemented on the OP-1 field in future. Let's do it. The first feature that I'd like to see implemented, and I have high hopes for that it will be implemented in future, has to do with the tape reels. On the OP-1 field, as opposed to the original, you can store up to 8 different projects at a time, and here they are called reels. Each of those reels contains 4 tracks of audio, and those 4 tracks are 6 minutes each. And it doesn't matter if you record 1 minute onto them or if you record 6 minutes onto them, they still take up the space of a 6-minute long audio file. Now, if we had the possibility to shorten that, say, I make songs that are usually shorter than 3 minutes, I could truncate those reels to be 3 minutes long and therefore could store twice as many projects on the device. That's really a feature that I would be wanting to implement in the device. And I'm wondering, why else are they showing us the duration of the tape right here if it's 6 minutes for every tape anyway, and they are not intending to change this in future. So yeah, that's my number one wish. Let us change the duration of the tapes in order to store more projects. Feature idea number 2, setting locator points on your tape. Maneuvering around the tape can become quite tedious at points if you have a larger project and say, for example, you want to find the beginning of your second chorus or the end of your first verse. It is quite difficult to see where exactly that is and immediately get there because you have to repeatedly press the arrows and find your way there. And this could be greatly helped if you had the ability to set markers or locator points on the tape itself. And one idea to simply implement this would be you maneuver to a location where you want to set a marker, you press tape, and then you hold buttons 1 through 8, either one of them to set a marker. When you hold it for a while, you set a locator point, and say I maneuver away from this place. Now if I want to get back there, I just quickly press tape and 1 and I would jump back there. And this would allow you to set 8 different tape markers, which I think is more than enough to maneuver around your project with ease. Feature request number 3, recording effects on the input. As of now, if you record audio into the OP-1, be it the line input or the mic, there's no possibility to directly apply an effect to it. The only way to apply effects to audio is to either record it to tape and then lift it into the drum sampler, or to record into the drum sampler directly and then apply the effects and then record it to tape. Not only is this more tedious, but it also has more limitations because the drum sampler can only hold up to 20 seconds of audio, whereas the tape can hold up to 6 minutes. So if you had the ability to apply effects directly when recording, you could record 6 minutes of guitar with effects applied directly to the tape rather than being limited by the 20 seconds of the drum sampler if you want effects on top of your signal. So yeah. Number 3, effects on the input. And feature request number 4, being able to save mixer settings on a per project basis rather than as a global setting. I think this one is most infuriating to me. This means if I work in one project and I have balanced all my signals, the drums are the right loudness and my bass is the right loudness, and then I go into another project and make little changes to the tracks there, this will also be applied to all of my other projects, meaning the balance of the instruments will be out of whack. And I really think it can't stay this way, and I'm sure they are going to implement that in future, because the tempo is not on a global basis, but the mixer is, so why shouldn't they be able to implement this for the mixer? It doesn't make sense that it's implemented the way it is right now. And while you're at it, do the same for the EQ, effects, and the master, please. Thank you very much. And while we're here, feature number 5, the memory buttons. The memory buttons, as you may know, save certain settings that you make on the mixer page. So on either one of these 4 pages right here, as you can see when I press this, I will see different values because I have set them prior. So if I turn something here, change this, it will go back to this value every time I press this button. And in practice it sounds like this. And I think this is a really cool feature, which reminds me, of course, of the Octatrack scenes. But I think it could be taken a little further. Right now you only have 2 different memory buttons that memorize 1 page of settings, meaning here I memorize the EQ. If I now went to the effect and twisted a knob, the settings for the EQ would be deleted. So my first wish would be that these settings will memorize the whole mixer, meaning the volumes, the EQ, the effect, and the master setting. The second and more important part about this is that I wish that you could exchange what scene you have loaded in either of these slots, similar to the Octatrack. On the Octatrack, you can load 16 different settings into either of these buttons and therefore quickly change between different sounds and different effects. Meaning you would press M1, then select some type of scene where you have various settings made, and then each time you press M1, that specific scene is triggered. If I press M1 and this one, this scene is triggered with different settings. One more thing that I would like implemented in that would be that the scene also saves which effect is selected on the master, meaning you could quickly jump between different effects and different settings for these effects, which would make this amazing for live performance. And feature number 6, pattern sequencer improvements. Right now, I barely ever use the pattern sequencer, which I think is quite sad because I like its visual representation. It's basically a very simplified piano roll, and you can actually see what notes you are inputting as opposed to the other sequencers on the OP-1. But the problem with this sequencer is that you can only sequence 1 bar at a time. So if you want to create a melody that's 4 bars long, well, you're out of luck. You also can't store multiple sequences, so it's just this one sequence of 1 bar. And it's sad because I think there's actually a very easy way to fix this, because with the gray encoder, you can select how long your sequence is, but you can only go up to 1 bar and make it shorter. So why don't they allow us to just make it longer as well and extend it indefinitely? Because you can then just easily with Shift and gray move to whichever section you want to move to, and the other stuff just moves to the left out of the picture. So that would allow you to create a lot longer sequences on a simplified piano roll, which I think a lot of people would like in the device. Oh, and while you're at it implementing all my feature requests, how about letting us hold the notes in this sequencer as well? Meaning I press a chord and then press to the right and it extends these notes. Sadly, that's also not possible in the pattern sequencer, and I think would also greatly improve it. Maybe also instead of scrubbing through the timeline of the sequence when you can make a longer sequence, you could also do this by clicking the encoder and then just flipping through different pages of the sequencer. And for feature request number 7, let's go to the LFO. Now with the OP-1 field, we got this new LFO called Velocity. And that means when you hook up an external controller to the OP-1 field that has velocity, you can assign the velocity to any parameter you like, as well as it's automatically applied to the volume of the patch you're playing. So the harder you press a key, the louder it will be, and the more the parameter you have selected will be affected by it. So similar to this velocity tracking LFO, it would be nice to have a key tracking LFO as well. That would mean if I press a low note, for example, I would close a filter more, and as I press a high note, I would open that filter more. And I think that would be very useful, and that also would work with the OP-1 by itself without an external controller. Yeah, feature number 7, key tracking LFO. Feature request number 8, fade out and/or automatic zero crossing in the drum sampler. Right now, if you are using the drum sampler to chop up samples and make sample-based music, you need to get the endpoint of your chops completely right, otherwise you'll get a click like this. This of course sounds quite annoying, and if you mainly make sample-based music, there will be a lot of chops and therefore a lot of chance to get these little pops and clicks in your music, and usually that's not very desirable. Therefore it would be nice to eliminate those clicks at the end of the sample chops. Now they've implemented it for the beginning of your sample with this attack parameter right here. And I would say they should just include the end of the sample chop as well in this, meaning if I turn this up, I will put a little fade in as well as a fade out to the sample chop and therefore eliminate the click in the beginning and at the end. And another thing, of course, they could do to eliminate these pops and clicks would be to implement some kind of automatic zero crossing detection when scrubbing through the sample. I think that would make things a lot easier as well. And feature request number 9, auto slicing when dropping into the drum sampler. What I mean by this is, say I have a loop on my tape that is a bar, 4 bars, 2 bars long, however long. And I lift this now, drop it here, and then drop it into the drum sampler. I would like this to be chopped up into equal parts as it does when I record something, but automatically have it on time with my beat and my grid on the tape. Because that would just make things a lot easier. Say I wanted to kind of remix what I have on the tape and rearrange it in some way, then I wouldn't have to go now and adjust all the start and end points. I just lift it and drop it into the sampler and it's already there in equal parts. Easy to now apply more effects or rearrange it in however fashion I like. And lastly, feature request number 10, organizations of snapshots and folders. If I go to my snapshots right now, I've got only one saved, but I would like the ability to not only save it to the snapshots folder, but create a new folder here, and then the ability to lift this snapshot out of the snapshot folder. For example, I've recorded a bass here, a bass instrument, and I lift it, and then I create a folder for bass sounds, and then drop it into the folder, as well as being able to just delete a snapshot, maybe using the scissors right here. That being said, this is my top 10 feature request list for the OP-1 field. I would like to know, what did I miss? Which features would you like to see implemented in the OP-1 field? Let me know down in the comments. Other than that, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I would appreciate a like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, have a wonderful time. Peace.